Welcome back to Briggs on Books. Are you looking for your next book read for the summer or the fall, whatever time of year you're seeing this video? I've got the book for you. It's a fascinating book by a fascinating author, and it's called Dropped Calls. And believe it or not, I just happen to have the author of Dropped Calls right here on our Zoom call. Welcome, Robert McGuiness.
Welcome. Pleasure to be here.
Dropped Calls. Can you tell us a little bit about that book?
Sure. It's a collection of 3 short stories. They all have different places that they originated from. But the premise throughout the book was that we were being spoken to by God and given the ability to make a choice and do the right thing. And then we lost our connection. And that's the premise of the book.
You literally dropped the call, or God dropped the call.
Dropped the call from God, exactly.
Are they separate, unrelated stories, or the same theme?
They're separate, unrelated stories.
Okay. And I love a book of short stories, by the way, Robert. I get these books that are 1,000 pages or whatever. It takes me forever, and it's a nice interlude. Who do you think is going to enjoy this book, Robert?
Well, I think some of the stories are very entertaining, so as you hope that everybody would get hooked into reading it in the first place. But there's certain audiences that would like some of the stories more than others, The first story in there is 5Gs over Walden Pond, and it talks about, even though there's conspiracy theories going on with 5Gs and the health risks and all of that, is what we missed from it is, and the Walden part of it, is that we have no path towards a life more simple. It just doesn't exist. And we can look at the conspiracies all over the place, and that just adds to the confusion and to the hectic life. And there's no way to turn it off. The person, the main character, doesn't have a phone, and yet his life's interrupted by phones. So I think that the Luddites will appreciate that story as we look to, live 150 years in our past and get away from technology. But the story should appeal to a way larger audience than just the Luddites.
The Luddites, yeah. Now, a lot of us are dealing with phones now, by the way. I mean, everywhere you look, people are just holding that phone up and they're living their life through the phone. I mean, these people are watching on their phone as Donald Trump is being shot at, and they don't put their phones down to see what's happening around them. And
it's true, and it's absolutely amazing. And I know people the same way, is that they can't not be looking at the screen, even when their children are yelling at them and begging for attention. And I mentioned part of that in the book, and they recently found why people die at around 80, and they found that it had to do with the repetitive breaks on the DNA, and we knew about the Gleason scale and the cancer precursors and that, but the actual end life because the DNA is breaking is one thing. So they said that phones could give you memory loss, and they looked at them in the same light as looking at addiction, the same neurotransmitters, the same reward system, all of that. And it made me think at one point, when we're talking about having the ability to break DNA, is what happens when we repeatedly break DNA? Is there such a thing as phylogenetic memory loss? And do we lose our innate fears? Do we lose our common sense? Do we lose our the roots of where we evolved from? Even before we were upright walking, we had history and memory. And is it possible to lose all that touch with our biologic self?
Wow.
And I just mentioned it in a sentence or two, but it really demands attention, and it demands to be thought about, because I think that's where we're going, and maybe that's part of the evolution. Maybe that's where we're supposed to be going. Maybe that is God's plan. But to me, there's something inherently evil if we don't honor our mother and father and look at our ancestors, you know. So I think we need to keep a little bit of that, and I think we need to work on increasing our memory and not decreasing it, whether it's our personal memories or our phylogenetic memories.
Yeah, well,
I think
one little example is, do you remember how many phone numbers you used to know? Just on the top of your head.
Absolutely.
Now we don't know any. You know, they're all on the phone.
Yes.
Anyway, Robert, this sounds like it's a fascinating book, and it sounds like it's very relevant for today. And
I hope it would be, and I hope people will read it and at least question their use of the phone, and maybe 2 days a week look for that life more simple and put it down and put it away, interact with your kids or with your parents, and you know, and get off the you know, break yourself of those types of bad habits, you know. And I don't want to say the phone's necessarily a bad habit, but when it can be addictive is if you don't regularly exercise your willpower, you will find yourself not in control of any part of your life. So you need to drive your ship, you need to be in control, and you need to test your will. You know, if you can't put it down for a minute, that's the time you need to put it down for a minute.
well, whoever was going to do that, they first would have to think, I need to do this, and maybe this book could be the catalyst to making people think about it a little bit, you know, before you have to pick up that phone every couple of minutes.
Yeah, I would hope so. I would just hope so.
Well, it sounds like a fun book regardless, as well as maybe got a good message for us, and I'm going to read it. I got a couple people I'm thinking that I would like to give the book to. So for our viewers, when you go to order this book, don't just click once. Order 5 of them and give them away. You always have to be taking gifts to people and stuff. So here's a good idea.
Very good, very good. Yeah, I appreciate that. I have a phone call coming in later this evening where they want to adapt it to the screen. So which was good as the other book has been getting a lot of interest for that, but this was the first serious bite that I had on bringing this to the screen. So I'm interested to see where those conversations go. I would like to get it out on that level, but I'm not sure. I also heard is that a university may use one of my books in their philosophy class. And I haven't confirmed that yet, but I'll be looking into that as the days go on. I think since I talked to you last, we did a press release on both of the books that went to 18 different countries. So I think we addressed a little more than half of the world in that press release. And I'm not sure that's going to lead to sales or anything, but it's going to be spreading the messages. And if they're received well, we're also doing a social media campaign that's just kicking off. So I'm trying to get my website to function a little better. It's kind of stagnant right now. So I'm bringing the people in that are going to make it more interactive and more connected. So hopefully we'll remain.
My technician behind the camera is pushing another book at me. Is this your book as well, The Attenuating Puritan?
Yes, it is.
Now, there's just the 2 books right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a couple more in the works, but those 2 are out now. They're both published this year.
Is this the one that might be used in a philosophy? I've got the cover up there right now. Is this the one universities are looking at for philosophy?
I believe it is.
Yeah.
I couldn't say for sure because I haven't confirmed that. And there was only one university I heard at the time, but maybe it's going to go through the loop. That's I love that story because it's a young man that's maybe ADHD, a little autistic or something, and he just gets stuck on this place is that he needs to clean the Garden of Eden up. And he is so relentless that he doesn't mind sacrificing his own health and his own mental health and his own body while he's cleaning toxins. And I go through quite a few different scenarios of where he's absorbing radiation, or he has cancer from emulsifiers, or he has liver failure from attenuating alcohol, which shouldn't be here. He has fertility issues and things like that. At the end of the story, him and his young wife, finally, because of his faith, he ends up marrying, and she's with child, and they float out to the islands of trash, and they had put the genes in them to be able to eat and digest the plastics. So that's his commitment, and everybody thinks he's crazy, and he just stays on the one-man mission that he's going to clean up the Garden of Eden. So he's a Puritan in the fact that he's seeking his own religious freedom, and also that he's pure of spirit.
It sounds like also very relevant for today.
Oh, it's it's all the people in the book are fictitious, and all the places and incidences are real.
Okay.
So it really weaves that well into it. It's hard to separate. In fact, people kept telling me that it was pulled from my own experiences as a youth, and that they assumed I was on psych meds in my childhood. I need to correct that. I was never on any psych meds. I don't even know if they had them in the 1950s.
In the 1950s, yeah.
Maybe they did. I don't know, but I wasn't on any of them. And it's funny how they could read the story and just assume I pulled that from my past.
Yeah, a lot of people fill in and assume the books are autobiographical in some way. By the way, Robert, I have your web address on the screen, Robert McGuiness Books. What would our viewers find there?
Right now, there's interviews like with you, but just my 2 books are there. And that's about it right now. And I'm hoping to change it to an e-commerce site and put some merchandise. And I'm working with my publisher to make sure that we have the right artwork and the right items on there. Yeah. So I'm hoping to generate that. I don't want to put a time frame on it, but that's my vision for the near future. Should be a couple more books up there in a little while.
Pretty soon. Well. By the way, for our viewers, here's Robert's most recent book, Dropped Calls. And if you're looking for it on Amazon, I don't know if it's because of Amazon Prime Day or what, but I've been having a little trouble maneuvering that. Normally I'd type Robert McGuiness and find all of his books, but if you can't, type Dropped Calls. The book came right up when I did it that way. And also I did the same with the other book, the Attenuating Puritan. That's how I found it. So don't give up on Robert and Amazon. Find his books. Where else are your books available, Robert?
Oh, they're available pretty much everywhere. They're at Barnes and Noble. They're at Thrift Books. They're at Powell Books. They're selling them in China and in Germany and Spain and Italy. And
that's great.
I think when you Google Robert McGuiness or Robert McGuiness Dropped Calls, 30 or 40 different places will show up that carrying the books, So I don't know if we sold any,
but they're out there.
But there's a list of places that they're available.
Okay. Very good. Now, there's the 2 books for now. There's going to be more books soon. Oh, yeah. Are there any other formats? I'm learning there's more formats than just the way I read through it, what I call analog books.
Well, I'm not sure if they're all available yet, but the hardcover and the paperback for both books are there. I believe that the Drop Calls, its ebook is out as well now, the Kindle version. The Attenuating Puritan is going to be book of the day at the onlinebookclub.org on August 21st. And
Wow.
that day, the Kindle version of the book, it will be available by then, and it'll be for sale very cheap. The audio book for Drop Calls, I just finished editing it, and it should be in the mix any day now. And we chose the narrator for the audiobook for the Attenuating Puritan, and that's probably still another 30 days out or better, so.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Robert, I'm really enjoying audiobooks, so I'm glad you're taking that route with these.
As the publisher the office I used was in New York, and then the headquarters was in London, England, and then the audiobooks come out of Dubai. And it just seems to be adding a little time to the whole process, so.
You have an international thing going on, Robert.
Well, we're trying to get there. We're trying to bring attention to these issues and get people to follow them and to work as a team, to clean up the Garden of Eden and to put their cell phones down for a minute and to question where their biologic life is rooted, in our clean water and our clean air and our clean environment. So there's something for everyone to do and plenty of places to be involved.
By the way, we talked about this before, but not during the interview. You are in Eureka, California?
Yes.
That seems like a great place to write, a great place for a writer to live.
I think if you're in town, you have the same thing as anywhere else. There's a little bit of background noise and stuff. But if you just get 5 minutes out of town, there's so many wonderful, quiet places.
Quiet places, Robert.
And if you can't hear yourself, you're not going to write well. So it's important to listen.
Robert, we're way past time, but I just want to give you a chance. Anything else you want to say about the books, about yourself, or anything going on in the world?
Well, there's a lot going on, and I don't want to take up more of your time. I'll say hello to half of the world that we're embracing right now and encourage all of them to go to their local book vendors and ask for translations so they can share them with the rest of their countrymen. And let's all get on the same page. It's only one marble that we share. Let's do it right,
Very good. All right, Robert, thank you for coming on, and I always enjoy having you. I could talk to you all day. They only give us 10 or 12 minutes, but I appreciate your time. And
I really enjoy being here, and I enjoy talking with you, too, and I look forward to it again in the near future.
And for our viewers, stick around. We're going to have another author right after this.